The discontentment typically comes from chasing either someone else's dream, comparison of someone else's life.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Tony, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful, thank you very much. And you look to be in an awesome location.
Yes, I am. This is actually my boyfriend's backyard here in Oregon, and it's magical. I love it. My dogs love it. So it's kind of fun that I get to be recording from here today.
Yes. And just think about what we said last week, right? We said find your happy place. And being in that happy place means a physical location or a mental location or whatever. But it proves our point from last week, because you are full of smiles, it's a magical place, and somewhere like that brings you alive, and that's just fantastic. Well done. I love that.
Thank you. Me too. This might sound counterintuitive or in opposition to what we talked about last week just a little bit. I assure you it's not, and we're going to get into that. So the topic for today, as we jump right in, is contentment in your circumstances. So while last week we talked about working towards finding your happy place, how to create that community, how to create that happy place where you're at, this week we're talking about something related, which is being content with the circumstances that you're in, because we don't always have control over the timing or the actual circumstances that we're facing, whether they're good, bad, in between. Usually things are a mixture in our lives. And so it's what we do with where we're at while also still pursuing those goals and dreams we have to get us to a different place in life.
You don't know this, and this is really, truly not set up, people. But this morning I sat and journaled, because I do that every morning, and I was writing about acceptance, right? Because myself, PureGame, we're going through this transition right now, and transition's really icky at times. It's not necessarily a nice place to be, and it's very energy consuming. And so I was writing this morning about what was going on, and I wrote three things. And the big thing was this acceptance, the acceptance of where you are and what's going on. And I wrote that there are three types of acceptance. There's acceptance with momentum, right? That's what we're talking about. Accepting where you currently are, but still moving forward and keeping that forward momentum going. There's acceptance with conflict, which means our world is always in conflict. I'm accepting it, but I'm fighting it and I'm battling it, and I'm just not doing well there. And there's this acceptance with resignation. And acceptance with resignation is kind of just going, well, this is as good as it's ever going to get. I'm just stuck here, and it's kind of hopelessness. So I was writing about these three things this morning randomly, and this is what came to mind. These are the three words that came to mind. And so it's interesting that you would bring up contentment, because I think contentment lives in acceptance with momentum.
How do you think that you're practicing acceptance with momentum today, this week, in general in your life, whatever context you want to share?
That is a brilliant question, and I'd say poorly right now.
I appreciate the honesty, and I hope our viewers do too.
I think I'm working into it. This is genuinely this morning today a realization for me, these three kind of acceptance levels. And what I'm working towards is this acceptance with momentum, where I can accept my situation and be content with the things that are going on around me. Not all of them are good, but just accepting that there's rough patches that we go through, and those rough patches can be a long time. And accepting that allows me it gives me the freedom to be me, right? It gives me the freedom to be Tony Everett in this situation. And then it gives me the freedom to continue moving into the desire of what I want to create and what I want to build and what I want to make. And so I think that's where I'm at. Although I do find myself falling into this acceptance with conflict. I want to fight against it. I want to push against it and say, that's not fair. I don't like that. And I'm going to do everything I can not to accept this. which the conflict just causes some issues in me, and then I'm just not a nice person, and then I think that I'm performing for other people because I feel that, like, well, my life shouldn't be like this, it should look like that, right? And that's where I'm coming from. What about yourself?
So I hadn't had words to put to those three categories before, and as I'm reflecting on my own transition that's been going on for a lot longer than I have wanted it to go on for, in a lot of aspects of my life, I think that I go back and forth between all three, kind of depending on the day or the time of day or how many rejections I've received that day or whatever's happening. And so I think that sometimes I feel that hopelessness of like, oh, okay, I guess this is what's happening, but I'm not happy about it, and I don't have the motivation or energy to keep fighting against it. And then sometimes I'm in that fighter mode of, okay, I mentally know that this is the circumstance, but I don't like it, and I just want justice, and I'm all amped up, and I'm frustrated, I'm fiery, and I'm spicy. And that can sometimes be helpful to move me into that momentum mode, because it does remind me of my motivation. So to me, it's important to know, okay, well, why does this upset me? And then that can drive the motivation to get out of that place, which then I think is that place where you talked about of contentment or acceptance with momentum, which is that healthy level of acceptance of like, okay, this is what I have control over, this is what I don't have control over, and this is what I have the power to do in my life within me to get myself and work towards that other place that I would rather be right now, that would be better for me, or whatever the reasons and motivations are. What is our challenge then, like our tangible challenge for our viewers out there, whether you're experiencing some transition, where you're experiencing some of these categories or not, because at some point in your life you either have and or will have experienced them in the future. So what's our challenge then?
Well, I think the first one is awareness. I think we all could do with a little bit more awareness. I don't know if these are the right words, right? That I just created these three categories, but they're what came up for me this morning. So I think an awareness of where you are in this contentment. I would also challenge people to look what they're chasing, because the discontentment typically comes from chasing either someone else's dream, comparison of someone else's life, or something along those lines, right? I want that big house, that nice car, whatever it is that I want that's out there. And I think contentment comes from within here, right? And so I think the challenge is to become aware. We talk about journaling a lot on the Tiff and Tony show, but I think some free writing style journaling would be a good exercise to do on this, as to what am I chasing, what am I doing, where am I in these three categories: acceptance with momentum, acceptance with conflict, and acceptance with resignation. Where am I in one of those three? And then find out if there's someone you can talk to about it. Yep. If there's something you can do about it. But I think acceptance is the big deal when it comes to contentment. This is your life. You are in it, and you can choose to resign to it, you can choose to fight it, or you can choose to move through it.
I think another challenge would be to write down kind of the framework of this challenge, keep it somewhere, maybe in the front or back of your journal. So then you can reference it in the future. Like, you know, at some point you'll get out of the kind of transition or challenge that you're in now. And at some point in the future, you're going to experience another one. And it might be a similar one. It might be a different one. So I think having this tool at your fingertips where you know you can find it to help you, it really is just to help you work through where you're at and figure out how you can move through it to get to where you want to be, you know, take those actions that you have within your control. And we will see everyone back here next week. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for joining Tony and me in this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show. We hope you feel encouraged and motivated to keep growing with us. If you like what we do here at PureGame, one of the best ways you can support us is by liking and sharing this video with your friends on social media. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel using the button directly below this video on YouTube. And you can donate at our website, www.thepuregame.org. And with that, we'll see you right back here next week.